Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Global Breakthrough Energy Movement Conference 2016. At this point, we're going to be hearing from a very good friend of mine by the name of Susan Kornacki. She joins us via Skype. Susan is an incredibly gifted individual with a wide range of talents and intuition. Every time I speak to her, I am enlightened and illuminated and educated in some way. She's going to be speaking today about crowdsourcing and certain steps we can be taking within our communities and some visions for the global energy movement. So without further ado, I give you Susan Kornacki. Hello, Susan. Welcome.
Welcome. Good morning. It's very early here. So I'm in Hawaii right now, and I just wanted to say an aloha to everybody out there. And Vernon, I know I wasn't on the panel yesterday, but the question was, what do people do in order to be healthy? And I have this, I don't know if you can see this, but this is my my gold that you gave me, and I would say that this is one of the things that I use on a regular basis that definitely helps to be connected with the etheric energies. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because I definitely took that over the last couple of days and have noticed it's made a tremendous difference. So welcome. I'm going to be talking for about 25 minutes today, and I wanted to thank the conference organizers, Yaron, Robert, because I couldn't make it there very last minute, made a human decision to be with my child here. I single parent my daughter who is graduating from 8th grade, and she definitely needed me here with her. So I want to thank all of you for that, because I think as we do this work, and for those of us who have been in it for a long time, whether it be in the background or the forefront, we've given a lot of sweat, tears, blood, energy, financial energy. Many of us have made moves and done things that most human beings probably would never have to do. So because of that, it begs to ask a couple of questions in terms of, so what is it going to take in order for us to get to where we need to be? And I want to talk a little bit about that today, because there's a human element and there's a human factor that goes on as it relates to this field, and how we do this in a way that is of a true collaborative spirit, where we're not having to, sell ourselves, so to speak, or to, break ourselves in order to do this, because it doesn't seem to make much sense. So I'll go into that a little bit today. So I want to give a little bit of information actually about myself, because I think I'm pretty new to the breakthrough energy movement crowd here. And a couple of months ago, I took a position with New Energy Movement and became their executive director. I was working previously at the Resonance Project Foundation, so worked in resonant technology and was able to actually see how we can do some of these things and get this information out to the public, which is a phenomenal feat when you actually really think about it. So to the efforts of the organization, the Resonance Project Foundation, there's a lot of very wonderful things that they've done and things that they're doing from a public outreach standpoint to really bring this to life in communities and bring it to life in a way that becomes part of a regular conversation and discussion. So taking that information and knowledge and platform and moving it into, a more kind of, let's say, agnostic view as it relates to new energy technology is something that I believe that we are on the horizon of right now. So a little bit of information about my background. I'm a little bit different in the sense of I came into this world remembering my connection to source. I remember being in my mother's womb. I remember the incarnation in. And so when I came to this world, it didn't feel like there was a huge deviation from spirit. And I know that as we talk about extraordinary experiences, or we talk about spirit, I think I'm one of these individuals that never really lost it, and became to know that our infinite self is actually our universal birthright, that the connection to these etheric energies, they are our birthright. And I've moved along the trajectory, got a master's degree, and actually taught at Harvard, Yale, University of Singapore, London Business School, and worked a lot with leaders in my, what I would call my daytime professional career, and really work to bring emotional intelligence in the leadership realm of people that were in higher up positions. So, taking all of that and putting it together and saying, okay, so what's actually happening and what's going on in the new energy arena? Why hasn't this come out more formally? What are some of the challenges? And what do we actually need to do collectively to get us back to what I'm calling really our blueprint, which I believe is our universal right? And so I don't necessarily think it's something that we're going towards. I actually think it's something innate that we're getting back to. And I think when you look at it that way, it's like, well, yeah, that is mine. That is something that I own. The capacity for me to be healthy and the capacity for me to live on a planet that is healthy, it's a birthright. And I think if we actually believe that, then we start to embody actions that move us towards that trajectory. So, just a little bit of information there that I think is helpful. So, um, I want to talk 1 minute about emotional intelligence because it's so important. When I left what I call my corporate life and some of the work that I was doing out in Massachusetts to come to Hawaii, one of the things that I realized as I got into this field is, I've said this before, and then I actually heard, I think Ken Rolla say it yesterday, it's kind of like the Wild West. And a lot of people running around, I've got the answer. I just need $1 million, or I just need $20 million, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to solve it. And well, it hasn't entirely happened yet, and that doesn't mean that all of those steps along the way didn't get us to something important and to where we are. Yet it begs the question: if we know that consciousness is an integral part of our connection to these energies, to tapping into the ether. And there's various forms, as Vernon, you beautifully illustrated yesterday in your talk. Then how does our capacity to regulate our emotions and to actually show up for other people, how is that related to this field? Because it's a critical component to what we know. Let's say in the corporate world or the business world, right? Of how teams get along well, how well leadership can actually embody the vision that they have. And one of the things that we also know is people that have higher levels of emotional intelligence, they raise other people up. People feel better around people that have high EI. They feel cared for, they feel respected, they feel valued. If there's negative conflict, they have a tendency to be able to work through that negative conflict quickly, and they find the beneficial value of the negative emotion that's in there. So this, I believe, are some of the things that are needed in this movement as a whole right now. One of the things that I also see is that there really is a lack of feminine participation in this field, and maybe it's because it's been so heavy and dominated in the tech aspect of it. But I think as we're starting to move towards getting a bit more calibrated here, we're realizing that we need both. We need both the male and feminine energies to come into play in order to actually embody tapping into the ether. So a little bit of information there that I think is absolutely critical. It's not just a little side note. I think it's absolutely critical. And so this, I believe, is a grassroots movement to get back to our collective blueprint. And so when you think about what is a grassroots movement, it's to be able to affect change at the local, regional, national, or international level. And it's associated with that bottom up rather than top down decision making. And the word yesterday that just kept going over and over and over is egalitarian. You try to take somebody that's actually working in these technologies, or somebody that's had experience from a spiritual standpoint, or tapping into the ether, and you try to put hierarchy on those people, and they will refuse. I know I have the vast majority of my life. I do not like to be told what to do. And I think that's relevant for pretty much everyone that's sitting in the audience and that's watching this on live stream right now. We don't like these traditional power structures. There's something wrong with it, and it needs to change. And in order for us to get back to feeling more whole and more sovereign as it relates to our universal birthright, that sense of empowerment and that sense of participation and shared collaboration is absolutely essential. And that does go back to emotional intelligence as well. So it relates to that. We also know that there's a variety of strategies that we can use from a fundraising standpoint. I think the days are over of the one wealthy person that wants to fund and then tell everybody what to do, or is maybe disconnected from the process, and maybe is just simply looking for a major profit afterwards. I think we're smarter than that. And I think that that is something that we need to move away from. And I have been highly impressed in the last 48 hours with conversations that I've had with people that have spoken at this conference, and their understanding of that as well. It's almost a let's roll up our sleeves and let's do this, versus waiting, for some big investor to come in and, drop off this money, and then we'll be holding us like a puppet afterwards, or is then going to just sell whatever has been created at a major profit, because our world, let's face it, our world is in need. Those that typically need things the most are not able to afford them. So how are we as human beings showing up and allowing these individuals to be able to have this, and to participate in the process as well? And so let's take this a step further to mean this is really about energy sovereignty. This grassroots and our collective blueprint to getting back is about our energy sovereignty from a health standpoint, but also from the health of the environment. And when we look at it that way and we actually start to see it, maybe we are actually in this movement rainbow warriors of prophecy. Because when you think about it, this reaches everyone. This is about absolutely everybody. And I also want to say it's going to keep coming. So I as well have had what I call, the spooky experiences in my life. When I was 7 years old, I was taken out of school by a man in black and asked about some of these, let's say, interesting experiences that I had. And so I knew at a very early age and a young age that the world was a little bit different than, what was being portrayed around me. And also spent time with Dr. John Mack at the Peer Institute in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where they were doing research with people that have had interesting experiences, and saw as well the type of tracking and things that had gone on there. So very well aware of what I would call the concerns in this field. And I would just have to say, from my understanding of what I see, it's going to keep coming. And the what is the it, though, is the positive aspect of all of this. And I put a picture up here of kids because, obviously having one, you can't stop this. These kids that are being born, you can't stop this. There was just I think an 11-year-old on TV the other day. It was, most of you probably have seen it. He created a magnetic type of device, and a local station in the US had put it on the air, and they said, oh, kid develops free energy. So, that's not something you would have seen a little while ago. So these kids that are coming in tapped in, and they want to be able to embody and manifest these things that they're seeing and that they're understanding. And there is an organization out there, for those of you who probably don't know about it, it's called FREE, and it's research for extraterrestrial encounters, which doesn't necessarily always have to mean extra. It could be really intradimensional. It was started by Rudy Shield and Edgar Mitchell, who had recently passed, and Rudy Shield was Harvard astrophysicist who's done a lot of work on MECOs and black holes, and actually worked with Dr. John Mack at Harvard. And I've spent quite a bit of time with Dr. Rudy Shield as well. So from a ethics, integrity, and professionalism standpoint, he's a very much top-notch individual. So I bring this up because it's going to keep coming. This isn't going away. And I do believe it is our job to steward not just this planet and ourselves, but also this next generation that Karen Elkins talked about so perfectly yesterday. And thank heavens she's doing the work that she's done, because this is very much what's needed. And I'll also say, I have a good friend, James Swagger, that does work with Megaliths, Capricorn Radio, if any of you have heard of him. But these ancient sites, they're going to continue to reveal. They're going to continue to reveal their secrets. People are remembering more and more in their dream state, or just in terms of their knowledge that they're taking in on a regular basis. This stuff is moving through us, whether it's a solar flare or cosmic blast that comes in, that's then allowing people to remember more of who they are and what they are and why they're here. It's not going to go away. And so that's one of the things that I want to kind of rest into here for a second. We seem to give so much credibility to the creepy stuff. And yeah, it's been there, yet I can see the force of the goodness and the force of the positivity that's asking to be embodied is just so much more Jedi than what we see for all of these other stories that get propagated out there. And that's one of the things that I want us to really, feel and understand. And the more that we experience that everything is alive, and that research is showing us over and over and over that everything is alive, then we start to interact with our world differently. And so, what is really going on here? I believe that we are in the process of kicking off one of the most important and time-sensitive human energy engaged campaigns to hit our global community, because it embodies a holistic view of community, getting that back, our rightful connection. And we're in the midst of it right now. I got up very early yesterday and today, and I watched the entire live stream yesterday. And I was truthfully, my heart felt settled for the first time in a long time in this field. Actually, I don't think it's ever felt settled before in this field, because I've been in it behind the scenes for quite some time. And the reason that it felt settled is because I don't see I didn't see people on the stage yesterday really professing an agenda that's egotistical. I saw people that do their job, do their work, have committed and given a lot of time and energy in their lives to be able to show up as a whole. And I believe, and Yaron will correct me if I'm not accurate on this, but I believe that who you saw yesterday and who you're going to see today, this is the starting group of individuals that will be coming together to help to kick this off. And we need more is the other part of it. So from what I call a vibrational alignment standpoint, I like the people that I saw yesterday and today, because it's no BS. It's roll your sleeves up, participate, and everybody share and get it done. What else is going on here? Our communities. Me living on a very small island, we call it the coconut phone, where you can actually communicate with people very, very quickly here. We're not so spread out, so we get more done in a small amount of time. And I want to give you a really quick example of that, because to me, something that looks impossible is actually very possible if people are willing to open up, share, participate, and have a shared vision. And my daughter has a school here that was a private school, is a private school, and she had just graduated, like I said the other day. The school was in shambles about a year and a half ago, and the community and parents all got together to really hold the vision of what this school was, and they did it. I'll have to, do a quick explanation of it. These kids learn amazing new information. They learned about Dr. Emoto's work on the first day of 7th grade, and they do sacred geometry in their classroom, and they're out in nature all the time, both in the sea and in the mountains, here in the forest as well. So they get all their basics, but they have that, and just seeing how a community catalyzed together so quickly because they believed in what they were doing. This is no different. I believe that what we're doing is actually no different. And I know Ashland, Oregon is also catalyzing around bringing in new energy technology. So they're working at a local level to do that. So this isn't something that has to be, way out there. We keep saying community, 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 but when you think about what's in your own local environment, and community could be even your immediate family or the people that are on your street, are we able to have these critical conversations to change the vortex around where we are and the people that are around us? And also the First Nations communities, they are an enormous part of this. They get this probably better than most of us maybe know and really understand. So I believe that we need to be stewarding people to be part of this movement, and it is a movement. And then also imagining what the energy reconnection looks like from that primordial sourced energy standpoint. And a couple of other things on here that I want to bring up about it being our universal right. That's the piece that I remember when I came in and said, well, wait, why does everybody give up their power? Why are they giving up their power to a corporation? Why are they giving up their power to a doctor that is making them sicker? Why are they doing this? What is that? And it was actually quite confusing to me. And then I just realized we're just a little bit we have a bit of amnesia going on, and we need to be able to get it back and get it right. And these different technologies will help to do that. These different, I'm going to hold up my gold again. These types of things will help us to remember. And the more of us that are speaking out and helping to trigger that form of memory and consciousness, all of these things will help. And I also want to say a couple of other things that I've got listed on here because they're important. That that the AI piece. There's so much money right now in artificial intelligence, and I can't help but think of something that I remember, and some of you actually maybe have seen this. It was a interview that John Mack had done with a bunch of school children that were in Zimbabwe that had these, let's say, etheric encounters. And one of the little girls said, as she was getting information from this being, she said, our world is becoming too technologed. And that was, I think, about 20 years ago now, maybe even a little bit longer than that. And that always stuck in my mind because we have an issue right now, even being able to have a coherent conversation with one another because we've got devices and we've got a million things going on. And most people are working their tails off to try to make ends meet and to try to make money. So we have lost our connection. Not all of us, but a great many of us. And here we are trying to do things like artificial intelligence and transhumanism. And from what I can tell, from what I call the contactee community, from people that are in that are connected to spirit, and also our wise elders in First Nations communities, that is not the direction that we want to go in. Not for planet Earth and not for Team Humanity. So something needs to break and something needs to give here. And what I believe is that if people out there want what's more natural from a connection standpoint to spirit and not have someone telling them what to do and forcing them to live in a way that's not in their alignment, then they need to be a part of this movement. Otherwise, it's going to be taken out of our lap. And that is a belief that I have because I've said to myself, so so much money that's being put into things like artificial intelligence. And it's scary. Yeah, absolutely. But I do believe that our world and our earth has the capacity to seriously Jedi through this. But it's going to take everybody showing up and doing things differently. And it should be representative of what's in nature, the natural yin and yang, not corpocracy. This field cannot be corporatized. I've had numerous conversations with people wanting to give money to the organizations that I've been connected to, and just like 2 this week, and you want to take a shower afterwards because it's all about the money. It's all about the device and all about the money. And that's not what's going on here. That's not what we know is what is asking to birth here. It cannot move in the same direction that so many other things have moved in. And that doesn't necessarily mean that people can't make money off of their devices and whatnot. That's not what I'm getting at here. I think people know and understand that this is about something bigger. This is about something greater, and they each have a role to play in it. And so what can people do? What can we do now? Here's what I've done in the last couple of weeks is send links to your family, your friends, colleagues. Ask them what they think about it. Start to create conversations. Ask them if they can donate and contribute to some of these things that you see that actually are potential to make a difference in what's going on. The other thing that can be done is, we talk about the public school being an issue with the old science they teach. I can tell you this, I know that private schools are very open to this information now. The school that my daughter is in, they're open to this information. So these smaller local communities, we need to be able to get this information spread out. So, like amazing work like Marco Rodin is doing and some of the others that are out there, to be able to take that information, populate it out in a learning curriculum at a multitude of different levels is what's needed. So we need teachers, we need learning instructors, people that know how to actually construct curriculum from both a graphics computer standpoint, but also from, is this something that people can retain, and can we make it interactive? Because these kids need it right now. They know that the science that is being taught in these public schools is not it. They get it intuitively, and I do believe it is our job to help provide that space for that. Quantum University as well it's in Hawaii. It's on Oahu. Very open. They've got I think Amit Goswami is there, and then there's another one. Please forgive me, I don't remember the name of the other physics person, but they're open to be able to get more information on science, because they want to understand, okay, so how are these different healing modalities working? Where is that coming from? What's happening, and what needs to go next? So this is something that is there, and I know that there's other universities that are out there, and so again, it's having conversations with the people that are in these universities to break in and to get that segue. I also want to share a couple of remaining thoughts here, that the more consciousness that we have, the more we're going to loosen that density with the space between the spaces. In some of my own experiences, what I know is that when the space between the spaces opens up, that's when you can see more. That's when you can influence more. That's when you can influence spirit and then work to bring that into matter. So I think that the more that we do that collectively, the greater that our capacity will be to rise with this together. Based on Vernon's talk yesterday, I realized something. I said, Vernon, you did make it easy, by the way, that we're all master alchemists, and the devices can help change the consciousness. But if we know that, then again, we become part of the creative field of engagement, and that is my belief that what some of these devices do, it's not that they're doing something for us, they're actually inviting us into the field so we can play with it more, so we can feel our creative source back. And I think that is the difference between AI and tapping into this type of energy field. You become part of the creation with these type of devices versus something with AI. It's taking something away from you and putting something in that's controlled by something else. I hope that was clear. I can't see anybody, so I'm just going to assume you're all nodding your heads. But in this, also in this campaign, the financial piece will be transparent. We'll make it transparent. Of course, absolutely, not even a second thought on it. And I, it's like when I was putting this together, I was thinking, well, geez, we should have a plan. We should know exactly what we're going to do. No, that's taking the old hierarchy approach of one person's going to tell everybody what to do. Here's the plan, and we're all going to do it. Um, it's my belief that people will feel the call along the way, and we build it along the way. There's people right now that say they're probably sitting and not even knowing that this conversation is happening right now, and they're probably thinking, you know what, I feel like I'm supposed to be part of doing something here. I feel like I'm supposed to, contact my university or talk to my professor, as it relates to these different technologies, these different ideas, and I don't know why. I think that there's this latent part of us that's now popping and coming open, and people are going to know what to do because they're going to feel the call. And I do believe that it is our job to at least provide that platform for that, and which you will be seeing coming from us over these next couple of months. Scientists, engineers, lawyers, relational consultants, renewable experts. It's one of the things we don't even talk about so much in this field, which we really should, because it's like our bridge to these different communities. It's our bridge to financing. It's our bridge to other experts that have relatable skills. So we need those people as well. We need our Indigenous elders, both male and female, to guide us along from a wisdom standpoint. And again, this may just be the rainbow tribe that we're looking for. So as we're wrapping this up before Russ comes on, one of the things that I've seen from my own personal experience is that in order for people to actually, care, the health of the self is absolutely critical. So just knowing that you can be healthy, and by participating and learning about these different technologies, and by learning about the field and how to interact with the field, it's something that does work to change people's attitudes in a very, very different way. It opens up their eyes, and the health of the environment, and typically we don't focus so much on the health of the environment unless something around us becomes challenged, unless whales are dying and washing up on the shore, or you've got some type of an accident that occurred and now there's smoke everywhere and people are then getting sick. So unfortunately, that's usually one of the things that happens. But to believe that it's possible for us to be healthy, and that is our birthright, and to believe it's possible for us to have health of the environment, that's our birthright. And again, just to be really clear, and this has been said over and over, because that's what we're going towards, is for us to change our ways and break out of these archetypes of hierarchy, the savior, or somebody that's lacking integrity. I had a conversation with a colleague of mine a couple of months ago, and big financing was coming in for this movement, and again, let's focus on the device. The device will pay you money if you can go out and land the device, lots of money, not just a little bit, but lots of money. And so we're having a conversation around the integrity aspect. And then I got really frustrated. I said, why is integrity like the dangling variable? Why? What is that? We have this backwards. It should be the opposite. The basis should be relational. The basis should be for the earth. It should be for humanity. The integrity should be in there. I know that there's scientists and inventors that I talk to on a regular basis that are sick and tired of getting stabbed in the back, that are sick and tired of money being the primary, and having their knowledge be tapped exclusively for the device and them not being respected as a human being. And that needs to change. And that is something that we immediately need to say no to, not continuing to, hang our head a little bit and walk with our tail between our legs and say, well, I hope that, these people are integrous. No, we create the movement for the integrity. And I believe that the people that have shown up over these last couple of days can do that. So we lead by example, by caring about ourselves, express kindness, compassion. It's not a weakness. That's actually a strength. And so I just want to wrap up and say that this is our universal right, and we're getting our rights back. And I thank you very, very much. I hope I didn't go too over because I don't have anybody looking back at me, so I have to go on my own.
Thank you very much, Susan. That was wonderful.